Yo folks, welcome back. I know most of you are waiting for Bitwig 6 to drop, or at least for some kind of an announcement when Bitwig Studio 6 will drop. But it's not here yet, it's probably soon, it's probably any minute now. But in the meantime, we still have to live our lives. We still have to make music. The show must go on, right? And that's exactly the topic of this video. We want to make some music in Bitwig. So I want to switch to Bitwig here. It's completely empty at the moment. And yesterday I made some beats and I had some kind of drum loop here. I choose a random one here without some... So let's use this one here because there's no hi-hat on top. So we drag this into Bitwig here. And we want to extract only the kick drum for now. So let's bounce this. Post fader, 32 bits, okay. So we have a kick drum, pretty nice. And we want to resynthesize this kick drum inside of the grid. But not just, you know, we want to make it precisely the same thing. Polygrid. So we go in here and then we use the kick drum we just bounced here. Maybe we rename this to kick. Just drag it in. And then we can use here, instead of the sine oscillator, we can use the sampler. And then use the keyboard. And we want to disable, of course, key tracking here. So we have the initial original pitch, and we also can delete here this one. So inside of the grid, we want to resynthesize now the kick drum, and we want to make it precise. So what I do sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's a very neat trick, is to extract actually here the pitch envelope and also the amplitude envelope. And we start here first with the pitch envelope, and I do this sometimes with the filter here, and I use a very steep one, high pass 8. And I want to hear only the top noise layer of the kick drum. Right here you can hear it starts, basically it's the beginning of the pitch top of the sine of the fundamental. So this is too much, maybe here. And then we switch this to low pass instead of high pass. So now we can only hear the bottom or the sine with the pitch drop in there. So now we extract the pitch envelope by using a zero crossings module. And this kind of works surprisingly well, I have to say. So we go into this and we also go into an oscilloscope because we want to visualize what's going on there. You can see here the pitch coming in. Maybe make this a bit slower. So there's all kinds of noise coming here from the filter. Probably if I disable this, yeah. So this noise is coming from the filter. Anyway, we want to use then a gate input here, which gives us a 1 every time we press a note on the keyboard. So you can see here, this is the pitch drop of the kick drum. And it's pretty much always the same. It looks kind of stepped because it tries to pitch track here this with the zero crossing. So you can see here, this is basically, so this is a crossing here, right? This is a zero crossing. From here to here, it measures the distance. On every cycle, the distance or the length, the wavelength is a bit different because the pitch changes all the time. So that's what you get here with this kind of stepped result. Anyway, so this is the pitch drop here. Maybe we also use here a note in there so we can loop this. Maybe a bit faster. Maybe go like this. Yeah, this is okay. Then we can, I think we can remove here the noise a bit by just bringing this down. But it's still giving you values here. It doesn't really matter. Now we want to extract more or less the amplitude envelope. We can do this with an envelope follower here. This one. very fast rise time and also here the fall time. We can tweak this to our liking. And we go also here into an oscilloscope, and we also trigger this here with the gate. So we want to freeze or sample and hold basically the value. So now we have here the amplitude envelope, and you can see we have some very small little things in there, but we can tweak this with the fall time. We can smooth it out, right? So we can decide if we want to have every small little cycle peak in there, or if we just want to smooth it out. I prefer to have it here at this point. That's kind of nice. So now that we have this, we want to just test this, if this actually makes sense. So we use a sine oscillator, and we use maybe, what do we use? Maybe segments for now. Connect your segments. We don't want to loop this, and we just make here a very basic shape. And it's maybe 8 note, I don't know. And then we disconnect here this, and we put this here, okay? So now we have something like this. So very uninteresting. But now we use here the zero crossings output for the pitch input of the sine. And we probably want to fake here also the pitch envelope, the amplitude envelope, by just using a multiply, and then using the output of the follower for the multiply. So this is basically our envelope here. Instead of using segments, we're using the output here, the signal of this follower, to amp up the signal or bring the gain back down, right? So let's try how this sounds. It almost sounds like the old thing. Maybe we use here a select, put this here, put this there, and the button, so we can compare two of the two signals. So this is our synthesized thing. Right? So there's a bit of difference there, but it's just probably because of distortion on top of this original sound, distortion with some noise on top. I would say my kick drum even sounds better. So this one is much cleaner, right? We have some artifacts here at the end, but that's not a problem for now. So we can now kind of re-synthesize already the drum, but we have to use the sample as some kind of source for the data of the pitch and the amplitude envelope. And this is not something I want to do. I just don't want to save this patch as a preset and keep the sample in there. Why? It makes no sense, because then you can just save the sample and use the sample instead of re-synthesizing it. So what I do then is I try to mimic what the pitch envelope does and also the amplitude envelope does. And I do this by using also a segments here, something like this. And I turn the looping off, and I also switch here, instead of timing, I switch to maybe seconds, right? Because seconds is actually not bound to the BPM. So when you use your half note and so on, the half note length changes when you change the BPM setting, which is not what you want. You want to have the kick drum sounding always the same, no matter what kind of BPM you set here in Bitwig. So I'm going for these unbound kind of units, which is seconds, milliseconds, and so on. So second would be maybe enough. And I also want to use a pitch module here. And yeah, let's hit here for a moment. Then we go basically with this into the sine here. And then we want to use an add, and we want to add the segments to it. But for now, I just give you an idea why I do this. So I go in here, and you can see the second line here. This is our initial pitch drop there, and this is our line here. So it's perfectly in the middle because it's C3, and C3 is 0, and 0 is exactly in the middle of the oscilloscope. So now I hit play here and let this loop for a moment, and I bring down the output here of the polygrid so we just have a bit of room to talk. So what I want to do now is I want to bring down here the pitch to the lowest point here, which is the kind of the fundamental of the original kick drum, right? It pitches down to a fundamental pitch. So, and this is here, basically this pitch down there. So what I do then is I just pull down here the thing until we hit the floor there. So it's C0, maybe D. No, it's probably D. Is C0, right? So this is the lowest point of this kick drum here. So we match this. And then, again, like I said, I'm using add, and I add the segments to it. And I also use an attenuator. And then I create here a basic pitch drop, something like this. So now you can see, maybe give this here a different color, maybe blue. So you can see in yellow here, more or less our original pitch drop. And in blue, you can see our static segments thing. So we have defined basically our root pitch here. If I go down, it goes down to the root pitch. And then with attenuate, I'm changing this until I hit the highest point in the pitch drop, which is here, right? So maybe make this a bit bigger, we zoom in a bit more. And we try to reach the highest point, which is maybe there. Okay, so all we have to do now is we have to shape this one here until it kind of mimics what this kind of shape does. It's harder. It sounds harder than it is. So we can hold down Shift here so the snapping is disabled. So here there's probably a longer part where this pitches. So I just put in a note there. Put this there. It's pretty indirect, but we kind of can manage it. So this is here probably too long. Let's go down. Yeah, that's probably better to use something like this first. So yeah, that's better. Paint in some kind of simple curve here first until the end, and then you pull down this here seconds so that the length of this whole amplitude envelope, and until you match basically the end of the pitch drop. So it's probably easier then. So now we can put in here stuff in between, something like this there. Yeah, it's a bit of small work, but it helps. Okay, so this would be maybe my pitch drop, maybe it's not. Maybe this would be better here. Okay, something like this. So this would be my pitch drop here for this kind of kick drum. Let's see how it sounds. It's kind of the same thing. So now you can see we just recreated here the pitch drop with the segments thing pretty easily, because we can first set up the boundaries. So the top part of the highest pitch and the lowest pitch, and then we nail here the length of the kick drum with the pitch envelope, and then we bring in here some things in between to mimic kind of this curve, and then you get kind of the same sound, the same pitch drop from it. So now with this we can completely remove this first thing here and just move on to the amplitude follower here. And we can do the same thing basically here, right? So maybe use here attenuate, and we can also disable here the smoothing, by the way, here this kind of pre-chord, if you want to have a different sound. So with this disabled, it's kind of, you know, not smoothed out, but for me it sounds kind of the same. So let's nail this one here. So attenuate brings down the whole thing, something like this, and then we maybe try to nail here the timing. So this is seconds. This is too short. Maybe here. Then we put this there. And maybe there's in the beginning here, there's some kind of, it's kind of the same thing, right? Yeah. For me, it looks kind of the same. Okay, so now we have this thing here happening. We can, we have an attenuate here, so we change the overall loudness. So what you can do is you can just disconnect this here, and then maybe use the separate. Let's do something like this. And then go in here. Let's see how this sounds. Or if you don't want to have this attenuate in here, you can just delete this and connect these two. But then the overall loudness is different because the segments goes all the way up, right? Nice. So with this, we can now completely remove all of this. This is just analyzing, and you can disable this, disconnect this, and we have a very simple pitch drop here. We have an amplitude envelope, and we kind of recreated the original kick drum. We can also here enable this kind of thing to re-trigger the sign, so it starts at the same position every time. But I would argue if you want to use this kick drum in something like a dance floor tune, you have to resample it, so you have every time the same sample. But then you could also use the original sample, I guess. But here you can at least tweak it. You can shape the amplitude envelope, you can make the pitch envelope a bit different, and so on. So you can re-synthesize it in a different way. Okay, so the next thing I would do is to put some kind of noise layer on top, and usually people go for white, so for this noise here, white noise or pink noise. But this noise generator here generates noise. That's why it's a noise generator, but you get every time a bit different kind of noise. So what you want is basically you want to have the same noise every trigger. So it sounds like the same kick drum all the time, but maybe you don't want that. But here I give you an example. Mixer, put this in the second here. And also like a simple envelope, maybe a high pass, something like this. Yeah, let's go up with this. So that's something you can use. Or what I do sometimes is I use a sampler. And I have here some kind of noise samples, pink noise, white noise, for instance. Stuff like this I sampled here from Serum. And that's a noise sample, and it's always the same, right? It's the same sample. So we can go in here and then use this. So that's maybe something you want to put on top, or you can also, instead of using here a separate amplitude envelope, we can also use a multiplier and then go in here and maybe use an attenuate so we can change the strength of the modulation. So let's see how this sounds. And yeah, the benefit of using a sample, of course, here is that you can change the pitch of the sample. So many possibilities, but that's how I would do these things. But actually, let's go here for a noise. Can I replace this? Yeah, I can. Let's go for this kind of solution here. With a noise on top. And maybe in the post FX part here, let's use, I don't know, peak limiter or maybe a clipper. And with this, we can perfectly replace, probably. Let's bring this back in. Let's loop this here for a moment. What's this? 174. Okay. That's too fast. Slice 174. So let's delete here actually our kick drum. So there's a noise layer on top missing, but also here these kick drums have, I think, a hi-hat on top. Okay. Also here, let's remove this. Maybe we can steal this kind of hi-hat here and put it there. Like this. It's probably better. Can almost hear no difference at all. So this is what I do sometimes to synthesize kick drums I like, and then I save this as a preset, and every time I want to make a track, instead of loading in a sample, I load in basically this patch, and then I can tweak this patch to my bass sound or to my other sounds or whatever. And I've always basically a very tweakable high definition sound I can use. Let's loop this here for this part. Yeah, there's a bit of different noise on top, but it's the same pitch drop. Yeah, and then you save it here as, let's say, I have actually some multiple presets of this. DNB, you can see I have a lot of stuff I resynthesized. I think this is DNB kick 14. DNB kick. I show you some of my other ones. Maybe I put this on my Patreon, I have no idea. There's the kick drum, here's the kick drum, digital. Okay. Nice. So this is one of my kick drums here. Then we have, let's search for DNB kick 13. This is a snare sound, right? It's all kind of synthesized in the grid here. Just a noise sample, a bit of sine, and some kind of clipper at the end. Some very basic kick drum. Oh, that's very stereo. Also, oh, this is actually, this DNB generator is actually generating kick, snare, and hi-hats and the pattern. So a lot of different stuff here I'm using. Maybe I put this at some point on my Patreon. I have no idea if people are interested in this. Yeah, many different sounding kick drums. And yeah, that's how I do it. Yeah, maybe let's use the snare sound for a moment. Put it here and here. Okay, and here I use my kick we just generated, 14. And we just clone this part. Oh, I had here the snare, the hi-hat. Okay, we use that. Just copy that. We delete this. Let's see how this sounds. Put this in a group. I really like to use here this this free plugin called Squash for some reason. It's a 4-band OTT, whatever. It's completely free. Right, this is the drum loop and the rest is synthesized. And here you can go in and you can say, I want to have a different noise layer. So this is the benefit of resynthesizing this, because I can already see the comments. Why don't you use just samples, right? So the idea is I don't have 3,000 samples on hard drive. I just have a few presets with sounds I like, and then I can tweak it and then I can resample it or bounce it down to audio, and then I have a consistent result. So this is how I do sometimes these kind of drum sounds, or resynthesizing kick drums I really like from other tunes, or from drum loops or whatever. And I also did recently some kind of kick drum for some of my Patreons, here this one. And this is out of some kind of minimal techno tune, and he wanted to recreate this kick drum. And I did the same thing basically. I sampled the kick drum from the tune, and I analyzed the pitch envelope and also the amplitude envelope, and then you get this kind of result from it, okay? Yeah, I put probably here some of my drum sounds on Patreon, and I hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think. Maybe you do this for yourself already. Maybe it's a known trick and I'm the last one discovering this. But the zero crossings module is pretty dope for analyzing the pitch envelope of samples. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope we don't have to wait much longer for Bitwig 6. It's coming soon, any minute now. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.